Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm here to catch you up on the game, and I have a little bit different overlay setup situation, so we do not have the overlay. Hopefully, I'm watching, and I should be going live on stream. There is on a 60-second delay, and there's a couple different predictions now going on in the chat. Have not had a chance. We are desperately trying to get things back up and rolling, but to catch you up on things, Jason, our Terran player, is for xSAGA City, by the way. Jason is going to be going into 2 command centers pretty quickly. Now going to be adding on the factory, and our Zerg player Quonzar, who is GM. Jason, also a little bit of a feared player, is pretty good. And real quick, I do have to mute one thing very quickly, and we are back. Hopefully that didn't do anything for you guys. I do have it windowed toward such things. As Quonzar is going to start trying to get a little bit of information at the front, is denied by this well-placed bunker. Very typical things that we're seeing here. And we'll have to see whether Jason, I did watch one of his games, and he did, I believe it was a TVT, and he went sort of just a typical marine tank composition. So in this ZVT, we are obviously going to see a little bit different composition, but we'll have to see if maybe he wants to try sort of the mech play that's kind of been coming back. I'm not sure if it'll ever overtake bio by any means whatsoever, but mech is becoming more and more viable as more players kind of figure out how to do it. For the meantime, I'm sure he's just going to add on, yes, the reactor. He's going to land that and go ahead and throw up some Hellions to get a little bit of map control. Jason getting this wall up, which we saw was a very big problem last game, Red exploiting that wall. And apparently my microphone is off. And let me go ahead and crank that up for you guys, as you will be looking at the base, at the Zerg player's base here. And we're going to go ahead and crank up my microphone so we can get something very nice and juicy for you. There we go. I believe that should be much better now. Hopefully, as long as the game does not mess with my microphone settings, or Skype does as well. Let me go ahead and keep an eye on those in my OBS software. Sorry about the technical difficulties, you guys, today. Last game went off without a hitch. It seems like we are having a little bit of problem between the patch and a couple other things. But back to this game where Jason, as predicted, is going to be using these Hellions to try to get a little bit of map denial. Nothing real substantial going on here, as it looks like he is adding on factories, so we're going to see a little bit more of a mech style coming out. No starport yet. A lot of times meching players will add on sort of an early Raven, because that Seeker missile is so great, and when you want to go for that late game composition, you really want to see those Ravens build up a good amount of energy for such things as those Seeker missiles. So right now he is going to go up to Blue Flame, so he's definitely going to be using those Hellbats in his composition. And the key thing here is whether or not he wants to add on bases and get more into a starport-like composition. Sometimes in mech play, it is absolutely worth it to totally build for that super late-game army, a lot of Vikings and kind of Sky Terran. And on this kind of map, he would want these bases here. And if he can go evens up and split this map in half with a Zerg player, that's actually a win for the Terran. If you can just kind of turtle up, it gets a little bit difficult once you expand into these bottom bases because they're so difficult. But things like Vikings, you don't typically think of as a mobile unit for defense, but sometimes if he goes into the transition where he does go to Sky Terran, Vikings and Banshees are going to be highlighted extremely. And the Banshees are a great choice to get that added ground force, and now this gold base, he's going to abuse the ability to lift off and land there, and now with these Hellions, he's got plenty of map presence, so it'll be very, very nice for him. Creep spread for Quonzar is looking very good. He's got things split up all over the place. And Quonzar, good drone saturation by both players here. Pretty much they're leaving each other alone and just kind of letting each other go here. And this base is so easy to harass with Mutalisks because it's so close to this base. You can almost fit it. Actually, If you zoom out, you can actually see both bases. I'm not sure if there's any other map where that is a possibility. And so this turret in the mineral line, so it can be repaired very quickly, and one at the back. And now look at all of these Hellions absolutely roast the Zerglings. Even going to be able to take out these Queens pretty easily. Nice transfuses going on, extending the life of these Queens and making sure he has more time to get a couple more units up. As now 24 Zerglings are coming in. 8 Mutas are about to pop, which can do great damage here. Oh, but if they get into the mineral line, there's so many Hellions here. We'll keep an eye as we have 7 drones killed as these ones go in. 8 drones, 9, 10, 13. The numbers keep jumping. 15 workers killed as he's looking for more. Can he get one more shot off? And it looks like that those Hellions were focused on attacking the hatchery, or rather the lair here. So 17 workers killed and traded for 14 Hellions in the game. Completely great news in terms of Jason. Really nice moves there. Going into that mech composition, he is going ahead and getting 1-1, and this is for that possible starport, the switch into Sky Terran if this game goes super late game. And when I say super late game, you guys, I mean the half-hour mark or possibly more. Right now, he's got a decent composition here with just a couple of Hellbats, Siege Tanks, and a Thor. And it really depends here. Oh, and it looks like he may be going into this. Now, the purpose of these extra command centers is eventually, again, if he's headed for that super late game, these are things that may go down. Oh, and these Widow Mines, great placement. Oh, and he doesn't quite get them. Nice little maneuver there. Jason can use a lot of orbital commands to actually get all the minerals that he needs throughout the entire game. And he will actually eventually start sacrificing some workers. And if he sacrifices some workers, he can get a much bigger army, and it is a mech army, which is absolutely terrifying. These sensor towers are great placement here. He's got this whole side covered. He is really following this to a T, and it looks to me more and more like he may be trying to push this a little bit into late game. He is getting a good amount of Thors, knowing that Mutalisks are out. Quonzar is going to go ahead and add and get all the way up to Hive, so we will see some Hive tech coming out. Probably wants to do some Viper action. Typically you see that against mech players, and very quickly destroying that SCV, but not able to get the other one. Skirting just so close to these Widow Mines. If they come in a little bit, and he's going to get... Oh, he does get one hit off. Not quite able to kill more than one. But now Jason is going to spread these out, and it looks like he's going to go with kind of a classic composition here. This one should be used for an orbital. This one will be used for a planetary. And with the planetary there, he really can have some great defense, and the missile turrets will cover him. And here we go. Just as I said, he's got the planetary coming up. Meanwhile, on the Zerg side of things, we do have this Hive coming up. He's got all the things he's going to need. He's got Hydralisks coming in. And if you see Jason going for this super late game type of style and sacrificing some Mutalisks here, the key is that you have to get hyper aggressive when he adds on this 4th base. If this 4th base can get up and established, this game is going to be very, very difficult for Quonzar to win. And he is GM, so he knows how to deal with this, but he's got lots of Roaches coming in. Depends on where the Siege Tanks, so many Thors in this composition. It's going to be absolutely devastating. And now the planetary is done, which is going to help with his defense so much. Great shots going off. These Siege Tanks are sieged up. This is getting more and more difficult. With this map, he only has to defend kind of this lane right here. And if he can keep eyes on where the Zerg gets with these sensor towers, this is going to get better and better for him. And so he has 1-1 upgrades for all of these units here, all of his mech composition, and I'm surprised that he's not going in. And there they are. There's the Banshees that I was talking about. He's going to use that. It's more of a ground defense as this gold base is now getting assaulted. He has to pull back. A little bit out of position here. If he can take this down here. Oh, great shots going off from the Siege Tanks. Turns it away. A little bit of damage done, but in all honesty, not a whole lot here. And taking off these tech labs will be a little bit harmful, and these Hellbats are all going kind of the wrong direction. Need to really roast those down, and now lifting off does get the tech lab. Starts a Banshee beforehand. Not too big of a deal, though. And this is playing out, oddly enough, exactly as I kind of predicted. Both these players now, he's going to try to starve the Zerg out on 5 or 6 bases. And that sounds crazy, but that is where this game looks to be heading. When he goes into these Banshees, this is their for ground defense. And he will start adding on a lot of Vikings as soon as he sees any more air units from Quonzar. Great maneuver here. Tons of Thors. 6 Thors in there. A good amount of tanks with 9. And this is getting very, very scary here. Quonzar is going to be in a little bit of trouble. It looks like he wants to assault this base from the low ground, which is something you can very much abuse. And in come these Banshees to start roasting some things, and they take down things so quickly without just that one upgrade, which gives them +2 on each attack. Taking plenty down with the sieged up army. This is going to be terrifying. Blinding Cloud going down, but it is on some of the tanks, but not enough of them. A great flank coming down here. Quonzar, these are the moves that he needs to do. But now Jason looks like he's going to be able to clean all of this up. And this is the strength of this mech army. He's going to land a mule to try to go ahead and repair everything. 27 Hydras, 54 Zerglings on the way out. And with this style, typically you actually don't see the mech player attack too often, so Jason's kind of switching the book, and he needs to siege up these tanks before this huge army gets in, and everything's getting in. The Zerglings all over the tanks. He leaves them unsieged, and he may be losing a lot here. The Hellbats go down very, very quickly, not able to get deep in on the Hydras. This composition is going down, 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 and you can see this mech army trading pretty efficiently. So few units left. It's going to take Jason a long time, and I do not think he is equipped to switch into that Sky Terran that we talked about. It looks like if I can find where the starport is, which is not up on my structures menu, we'll have to take a look at that once that becomes pertinent. He has killed quite a bit, though. The resources lost heavily in favor of Jason, able to take down 19,000 resources worth of Quonzar's units. Jason only losing 13,000 himself. Now, he is producing all kinds of things. He is now getting more and more Vikings. We'll have to see if he decides to go into battle cruisers. Not yet able to add onto these bases. But as I said, you may start to see him... Oh, and meanwhile, sorry, the tanks, everything getting in pretty close to him. And he doesn't have a whole lot of support here. These tanks are out here very naked. And that's very devastating. Losing those tanks, they take so long to rebuild. And now possibly might lose his command center, this planetary fortress. May pay for itself. All these roaches coming in. He's got a couple workers here, and you can see he doesn't really need these SCVs, so he doesn't care if they die. Oh, but that's so painful for that going down. Quonzar countering this mech play very, very well by getting aggressive. I think Jason made a big mistake. And we will be trying to bring you a 5th game when we can. And Quonzar, great moves here. Now he is definitely ahead in this game. It's going to take Jason a long time to rebuild that army. He's going to try here. He needs to have everything sieged up, and it looks like he will. And it looks like Quonzar is not interested in taking this fight right now, as he should not be. Oh, and a great cloak is going to be able to take out a lot of these Hydralisks. Get the targeting priority for him, and that's great news for him. Able to reduce that count just a little bit will help a ton. So now he has a couple more Banshees heading into the fray, but this army right now just does not have enough anti-air. He's got these Hydras, and unless an Overseer shows up pretty quickly, using those scans very effectively. But yeah, it looks like he's trying. He never quite made the transition into the full Sky Terran. He did not have the infrastructure for it, and now definitely does not have the gas. Typically, the way that this works for these types of compositions, as he's going to fly over and make sure he can get away from the ground army there, is that you want SCVs only mining gas, and then you want to have so many orbitals where you can just have mules mine minerals for you. Looks like he's a little oversaturated up here, a little over optimum saturation here as well. And not quite at optimum down here. So things have certainly taken a step back from Jason, but he is now maxed out again, and he will have a mech-based army. And it doesn't look like much. This plus 3 more Thors, 2 Banshees, a Hellbat, and a Viking, which won't take up a whole lot more screen space, is going to be a maxed out mech player. Now, it just doesn't look like there is a whole lot, but those mech units are big and beefy. Great spread out the siege tanks here. Oh, and this could be such bad news for Quonzar if he walks into this. Depending on the Vipers go down with Blinding Cloud. Great moves, but will they last long enough? And can Jason pull this out? Blinding Cloud is going to be ending very soon, but now everything is in on the tanks. The tanks reactivate, but it's not quite enough, and Quonzar's going to push through and assault this base again. I'm not sure if Jason will be able to come back from this. Trying this new mech style. Never quite able to make the transition points. But Quonzar now is just going to go in for the production. Supply depot's going down left and right. He's going to go ahead and try to take out this base. He's going to supply block him, or excuse me, not supply block him, but hinder the economy. And I don't think that Jason has much of an answer here. He's trying to upgrade. He's trying to get 3 more Thors. But from this, what can you do? Oh, meanwhile, he had a huge attack. These Banshees have just been going to town. And this game just changed entirely. I missed these Banshees just assaulting these 2 bases, able to focus everything down. And we may have an all-in situation on both. No wonder he's staying in this game. This Overseer is deep in the back, now picked off. These Cloaked Banshees can do, they can kill everything. This game, an absolute crazy now, going into a base trade as more Hydralisks come in. These Banshees taking down absolutely everything, but these Cloaked Banshees, they have no counter. There's nothing else that needs to be done. He's got some idle workers here. Jason somehow, some way be able to pull out this scrappiest of all scrappy games. Somehow these these Banshees, excuse me, having so many kills on each of them. 14, 13, 10. 8 kills. Oh, and they're getting picked off pretty quickly here as he has a Spore Crawler in the back of that base. But right now, if he can target down the hive... Oh, too many Spore Crawlers. Oh, no, and he runs right into him. Almost loses 2 Banshees, and he's trying to rebuild. Both these players now on extremely low economy. Jason on more or less a 1-base economy. Quonzar closer to 2-base. Now, luckily, Jason can potentially lift this off, and I'm thinking that he should potentially go and try to find another base where he can get more minerals intake. He's going to drive this base very quickly with the amount of orbitals that he's got. He's got 3 orbital commands all coming down on 1 base. Now, this unit composition is primarily Hydras. He does not have a whole lot of Roaches, so things like Hellbats, if they can get up close and personal, absolutely roast those Hydras. They do the bonus damage. You can see on the bottom right, 36 damage per Hydra, which is just about half of their health. Technically 34 damage with the 2 armor upgrades. And we are seeing this game come back to sort of an odd point. Wondering if Jason is going to repair these Thors and things. The army is only as good as much health as he have, and it looks like Quonzar might be trying to shape up, take this base, may just be scouting down, making sure there's nothing around in these lower areas. Oh, and these Banshees come in and roast everything, and that's going to cue him to come in. Quonzar's going to go for it, and Jason certainly retreats. He's just going to give him this base. I'm not sure if this is the right move at this point in the game. These are the situations where neither player has been in that often. Neither one of these players have had a game much like this, I can assure you. Cloak Banshees, again, still raining down on drones. Not able to get into the main base, but there are only 2 Spore Crawlers here. But meanwhile, Quonzar assaulting everything. He's got tanks on the high ground. And this is just becoming a quick war of attrition. Now Jason prioritizing building tanks. Going to use the extra minerals. It's pretty much all he's got to build Hellbats. And he is just going to get out of this base as quickly as possible. He's thinking that these Cloak Banshees may be able to win him the game. I think he has to assault this base. Is there any, just this amount of gas? So the Zerg will basically have no more units. This is it. Jason having some semblance of income, now down to, no orbitals? Or did he float one away somewhere? I didn't see it. I didn't see if he's being revealed or not. There it is. He is being revealed. Now Jason, without a base, can rebuild one if he has an SCV, which he has 8 of them, so he technically can. Now, these Overseers are probably the most valuable unit in the game right now. Oddly enough, it has gotten to the point where they are so key. Now he's going in the back door, and he's going to get the Hydralisk Den, which is great. Quonzar, if he can somehow get an economy back up, might be able to do anything. And Jason being so smart, making sure he does not take any chances. And it looks like he's going to try to pick off Hydralisks one at a time, decides that's not the best idea. He definitely needs to build back up with his army. It's going to be tough to get these Banshees out of here. Oh no, and he cannot take that path. He cannot take that path. He needs to get out very quickly. I'm sorry, but that gas geyser simply is not worth it. I think he's just trying to distract him back and forth. He needs to get out so close. Jason, you are giving me an absolute heart attack. Jason is rebuilding here in the main base. And he's trying to figure out what to do with these Banshees. I think he needs to try to go up, around, and out if possible, but it looks like he will be completely boxed in. So he has to stay there as these Zerglings are going to come up. There is more than enough to deal with this. Oh, cleaning up some SCVs, that is a little bit painful. Anything you lose at this point is going to be a little bit devastating. Now, what are these players going to do? Could we have a draw potentially from this? Technically not yet. There still is some income. There is the gas going in for Quonzar. That alone is enough to make sure this game does not go off. And I like this move. I think he's just going to try to pick off these structures. So in case this comes down to the true base race, both these players are just going to try to take each other out as much as possible. But Jason's deciding no, he does not want to do that. And it looks like Jason's saying, all right, that does it. Let's dance once and for all. Here we go. And these Zerglings are going to run into all these units. And they're going to get stuck up here, which is nice. Nice little pick off for him. These will not trade efficiently. These two Hellbats are going to go ahead and roast a good amount of them. And I don't think you're getting through that mech army. And this is the key here, because how many of these Hydras does Quonzar pull? Because he cannot let Jason get sieged up. If Jason were to siege up right outside this base potentially, one, he would kill the remaining drones, which would always be a plus. Help push the game into a stalemate if he wanted to. But number two, where does he split? These Banshees can come in the back door if needed, and so what's going to have to happen, and he's using that Viper to try to get up. The units here, I'm just going to leave this up because there's nothing on the production tab worth anything. And these tanks going to town, using this Viking oh so well to spot the high ground. Now these Banshees trying to go in. They are cloaked, not that it matters particularly. Sorry, two Vipers out now. Able to take off the building, get a drone. Oh no, and he needs to get out. Oh, it decides now is his time to fight. He's going to do it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. These tanks, oh, well, the Blinding Cloud is not done yet, but these tanks, will the Blinding Cloud last? There they are. And everything is getting roasted down, and it looks like Jason is going to take it. Quonzar has no more supply, and in a nail-biting 35-minute game, Quonzar upset about the map. A little bit of BM there. And he says, I'll give you 1G since it was a game. And Jason takes a very exciting match back and forth. Wow. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the full webcam view. I do not have my overlay set up, and I do not have my co-caster here, so I felt a little bit naked during that game. So that game went from the new standard mech style that we thought we might see, migrated into the really sort of odd mid-game where they were almost to late game, almost made the transition over. We saw some Vipers and things like that, then kind of regressed into a base trade scenario. Those Banshees doing so much damage, and Jason somehow able to pull it off. Wow, what a game. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and throw up the waiting graphic, but I will also be kicked off the stream. We're going to get Slicer back up on here, and we're going to get everything sorted out and be back. I believe we do have another Saga City game, so we will be able to cast a full breakdown for you. Wow. I still cannot get over that game. Absolutely great. And Saga City now up 3-1. We will see you guys in just a bit.